Have you ever noticed how history seems to repeat itself? It's not just in politics or war, but in something much more fundamental: money. Specifically, gold. For over 2,000 years, a chilling pattern has emerged. Every time the price of gold has doubled in a short period, a major empire has crumbled soon after. It's a warning signal that has predicted the fall of giants, from ancient Rome to the British Empire. Today we're seeing similar signs. So, is the United States next? Let's unravel this mystery, because when gold doubles, it's never just about the price. It's about power. Our story begins with the Roman Empire, the superpower of the ancient world. At its peak, Rome's currency, the denarius, was pure silver, backed by the empire's vast wealth, including its gold reserves. But as the empire expanded, so did its expenses. Endless wars, massive infrastructure projects, and a growing bureaucracy created a fiscal black hole. The emperors needed more money, but the gold and silver mines couldn't keep up. So they resorted to a trick that governments have used ever since: debasement. They started mixing cheaper metals like copper and bronze into their silver coins. Initially, it was a small amount, barely noticeable. But over time, the pure silver content of the denarius plummeted. By the 3rd century AD, some coins contained less than 5% silver. What did this do to the price of gold? As people lost faith in the silver currency, they flocked to gold as a stable store of value. The price of gold, when measured in these debased denarii, skyrocketed. It didn't just double, it went up by thousands of times. This wasn't just inflation, it was a total collapse of trust in the government's money. Ordinary Romans saw their savings wiped out. Soldiers, paid in worthless coins, lost their loyalty. The economy ground to a halt. Trade broke down, replaced by barter. The social fabric unraveled. The debasement of currency didn't directly cause the barbarian invasions, but it hollowed out the empire from within, making it fragile and unable to defend itself. When the Roman monetary system failed, the empire's fall was inevitable. Money lost trust before power lost control. Let's fast forward about 1,000 years to the 16th century and the Spanish Empire. Spain became the world's first global superpower, thanks to the vast amounts of gold and silver it plundered from the Americas. It was an unprecedented influx of wealth. You would think this would make Spain invincible, right? Wrong. In fact, it sowed the seeds of its own destruction. Between 1500 and 1600, over 180 tons of gold and 16,000 tons of silver flooded into Europe from the New World, mostly through Spain. This massive supply shock had a predictable effect. It caused rampant inflation across the continent, a phenomenon known as the price revolution. In Spain itself, prices for everyday goods sextupled over the course of a century. The Spanish crown, despite its immense treasures, was constantly in debt. Why? Because all that gold didn't create real productive wealth. Instead of investing in agriculture or industry, Spain simply used its gold to buy goods from other countries and to fund endless wars. The Spanish economy became uncompetitive. Its own industries withered away. The flow of gold created a temporary illusion of prosperity, but it was a curse in disguise. When the gold and silver from the Americas began to dwindle in the 17th century, the Spanish Empire, addicted to easy money, had nothing to fall back on. Its economy was a hollow shell. The gold that was meant to build an empire ended up financing its long, slow decline. The lesson: pouring money into an economy without creating real value leads to inflation, not wealth. Now, let's cross the globe to Ming Dynasty China. Unlike Europe, China's monetary system was based on silver. For centuries, this system worked well. But in the early 17th century, things went terribly wrong. China's silver supply was heavily dependent on foreign trade, particularly with Japan, and through the Spanish, the Americas. However, a series of events cut off this supply. Japan shut down its foreign trade, and Spain's silver shipments from Manila were disrupted. Suddenly, China was facing a severe silver shortage. This created a massive deflationary crisis. Since taxes were payable in silver, but peasants earned their living in copper coins and grain, the value of silver relative to copper skyrocketed. In essence, the price of gold's less glamorous cousin, silver, doubled, and then some. For the average farmer, this was a catastrophe. Their tax burden effectively doubled or tripled overnight, even though their income hadn't changed. They had to produce twice as much grain to get the same amount of silver to pay the taxman. Widespread bankruptcies, famine, and peasant rebellions followed. The Ming government, starved of tax revenue, was powerless to respond. It couldn't pay its soldiers or maintain order. The famous rebel leader Li Zicheng marched into Beijing in 1644, and the last Ming emperor hanged himself, bringing an end to a dynasty that had ruled for nearly 300 years. It wasn't an invading army that brought down the Ming. It was a monetary collapse triggered by a sudden spike in the value of its core monetary metal. Finally, let's look at the British Empire, the empire on which the sun never set. Its power was built on industrial might, naval supremacy, and a financial system centered on the gold standard. For much of the 19th century, the British pound sterling was as good as gold. You could walk into the Bank of England and exchange your paper pounds for a fixed amount of physical gold. This created immense stability and trust, making London the financial capital of the world. But this system had a critical vulnerability. It required Britain to maintain vast gold reserves. After World War I, the world changed. The war had been ruinously expensive. Britain, once the world's biggest creditor, was now deeply in debt, primarily to the United States. To finance the war, it had printed huge amounts of money, abandoning the gold standard. After the war, Britain tried to return to the gold standard at the pre-war parity. This was a disastrous mistake. The British pound was now massively overvalued. British goods were too expensive on the world market, leading to a deep recession and mass unemployment. Meanwhile, gold flowed out of Britain and into the United States and France. The pressure became unbearable. In 1931, Britain was forced to abandon the gold standard for good. This moment marked the beginning of the end for the British Empire. The pound, no longer backed by gold, lost its status as the world's dominant reserve currency. The financial power that had underpinned the empire was broken. The confidence that held the empire together began to erode. While the empire wouldn't fully dissolve until after World War II, the financial crack of 1931 was the point of no return. The doubling of gold's price relative to the devalued pound signaled that the old master of the world was losing its grip. So, what does this all mean for today? For the past 50 years, the world has operated on a US dollar standard. But just like the Roman denarius, the Spanish silver, and the British pound, the dollar's foundation is being tested. Since the year 2000, and especially in recent years, the price of gold has surged. It has more than doubled. What's driving this? A combination of massive government debt, unprecedented money printing by central banks, and growing geopolitical instability. People and even central banks around the world are increasingly looking for an alternative to the dollar, an asset that can't be printed out of thin air. They are turning to gold, just as they did in ancient Rome. This isn't a prediction that the United States will collapse tomorrow. Empires are complex, and their declines are slow and messy. But history offers a stark warning. The doubling of gold is a fever indicator. It signals a loss of faith in the prevailing monetary system. It shows that the economic foundations of the ruling power are cracking. From Rome to Spain, from the Ming Dynasty to Britain, the pattern is the same. A currency crisis precedes a crisis of power. Money loses trust, and then the empire falls. The surge in the price of gold today isn't just a headline for investors. It's a page from a history book we've read many times before. The question we must ask ourselves is whether we are living through the final chapter for the current global order. History doesn't just rhyme. It often repeats with devastating accuracy. Thanks for watching. If you found this deep dive into economic history fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content from HistoroMystic. What do you think? Is the rising price of gold a sign of things to come? Let us know in the comments below. See you in the next video.